What's up, guys? Welcome back to the after credit scene. Thanks for watching. We are diving into yet another Disney Plus Marvel series. This time we're reviewing the What If series, which dropped this morning. I don't know if you guys are interested in watching it. Obviously, if you're here, you're a little bit interested in watching it, but maybe you just showed up to get a little bit of backstory and information about what in the world is going on with this series, and we've got all that for you coming up next. So if you don't know anything about this, or you're just kind of on the Marvel train and seeing what they're putting out, this show is really interesting. It's got an interesting twist to it. It's got an interesting direction it can go. The animation is definitely a different style, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, so to speak. But if you watch the Loki show, we're going to give some spoilers away here, then you know that there's some multiverse ramifications going on after that show. That there is not one timeline, but that there are multiple branches and a lot of things going on. And this show coming on the heels of that show is just an opportunity for Marvel to kind of explain a little bit more about what the multiverse is and how the multiverse works as far as time is concerned, jumping from different scenarios. And the whole title of the show, What If, asks that question. What if this happened instead of that? These little decisions. To guide us on that journey in this show, the narrator is this comic book character called Uatu. That is U-A-T-U, Uatu. And he is called the Watcher. You actually don't get a good look at him in the show other than some kind of silhouette made out of space dust or something. But the idea is that there is this race of people, this alien race, and you get a glimpse of them for a little bit in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where the Stan Lee cameo pops up. But this race of aliens that is so technologically advanced and so far beyond the rest of the beings that they've encountered that their motto in life, or their goal now, is to simply observe life, to kind of be as a part of it. And the insinuation is that they are beings outside of time as well. And so perhaps even outside of the TVA and outside of these Kang references and things that we're going to get, maybe the Watchers are these people that are aware that maybe there always was a multiverse, and that what Kang did in the Loki series is simply a branch, is one version of what could happen, and that's what we've been watching the whole time. Presumably, the beginning of the last episode of Loki would have you believe that we jumped out of one reality and we jumped into another. I think we're going to get a lot more explanation of that moving forward in the MCU. I think that's a bigger discussion to be had, and Marvel's obviously not going to play all their cards all at one time. They're going to let you try to figure it out and just enjoy the far-reaching ramifications of what's going on. So you're getting to see Marvel play a lot in this show and kind of explore some other comic book stories, and kind of give a tip of the hat to those things in a way that they couldn't before, because they only had one specific storyline. So now they can use these other avenues to branch off, and whatever your interests are, they're going to have something for you. So in this series, this show, this episode, each episode is going to kind of be its own little story. I'm curious if they're going to connect them at all, or if it's just going to be, okay, you know this and you saw this, but what if this happened? So maybe the only connection is we start off with the MCU that we know, which is what happened in this episode, called What If Peggy Carter Became the First Avenger? And it starts off with Uatu kind of talking about the universe that we know, and all the things that go on in it, and these branches of reality based off of single instances or decisions. And one of those decisions is shown to us at the beginning of this episode, which is when Steve Rogers volunteers to become the first super soldier test subject. Peggy is asked in the first Avenger movie, do you want to be down here or do you want to be up top? And the decision she makes ends up meaning that everyone that's supposed to be in the booth upstairs is downstairs with her. In the movie, Captain America First Avenger, all of those people are upstairs, and they are all killed when the Hydra agent blows up the room upstairs. So all of those people are upstairs. Peggy is downstairs with them, and she is not able to intervene like she was before because all those people were upstairs. The Hydra agent never had a chance to go upstairs to plant that device, and so because of Peggy's decision, everybody's downstairs. That's where the bomb goes off, and in the turmoil, Steve gets shot, and Peggy, before everything can be destroyed, is able to kill the Hydra agent instead of Steve becoming the super soldier and chasing after him. In the aftermath of that, before everything can be destroyed, Peggy jumps into the pod and becomes a super soldier, takes all the serum, and because of that one decision, and I loved the way that the narrator, Uatu, is kind of narrating the whole thing, and he stops and he says, that moment where she says, no, I'd rather be down here than up there. And what it caused is what changed that moment. That one thing that allowed her to be in a position that she wasn't in before caused all these other changes, and made a lot of other changes, actually, as you kind of see the episode unfold. And so I liked how the narrator was kind of guiding us, just like he says at the beginning of the series, guiding us through these moments, helping us explain. You're kind of getting a little more explanation of how the multiverse works. If you hadn't picked up on it before, you'll get these little on-the-nose moments of this, that right there, this moment, this thing, which can be a whole lot of fun. And for some newcomers, or for people that are just trying to figure these things out, or diving into this show without knowing these other moments, it's a really good jump into the Marvel Universe. And that was something that I've seen a lot of articles talk about, is how is Marvel going to introduce new audiences to a universe that is 23, 24 movies long now, without saying, hey, you gotta go back through all these. So they revisited a little bit. It did make for a lot quicker episode. I thought the dialogue was really great, but it was really quick. You jumped through a lot of scenes that happened in Captain America the First Avenger, but they were flipped on their head because it was now Captain Carter. So they had to jump through a lot of those scenes before they got to some of the new stuff. So they did rely on you knowing what happened back there, but even if you were the first time to see it, it was just a new scene. It wasn't actually bothering you if you didn't know what happened in those movies to see something happen in front of you. It just seemed like a new thing rather than, oh, I picked up on that. So I think there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs that we can pull from this show, but they're going to be in the form of things that we saw in other shows and other movies that they're showing in this world, but with a twist on them. So we'll talk about some of those things at the end. Stick around for those Easter eggs. But as we move forward, that moment that Peggy becomes a super soldier, because she did that, because the Hydra agent didn't get away with any serum, because she was able to dive in with Howard Stark immediately, because they dismissed her immediately. They didn't even want to use her for a USO tour like they did with Steve. Then she was able to jump in with Howard and go ahead and intercept the Tesseract as it was on its way to Berlin, as it was on its way to Red Skull and to his castle. So there were some more what-if moments there that I thought were really fun to play with. For instance, since Peggy was able to jump in and intervene and get the Tesseract almost immediately after Red Skull acquired it, instead of this whole big USO tour going on while Red Skull had time to study the Tesseract and do things with it. If he was able to do that because they captured that soldier, that Hydra agent early on, instead of him getting away or dying in front of Steve. You know, Steve chases him in Captain America the First Avenger all the way through New York City And he goes on the USO tour because everybody saw him. Everybody saw that hero, and then the military jumps on it. So since that didn't happen, since they had access to that soldier, they were able to discover the Tesseract was something they were going after. Peggy intervenes and gets it. So this whole other moment, because of those first moments, what if Howard was able to get his hands on the Tesseract during the war instead of Red Skull having time to create all his weapons, and then the Tesseract being lost to the ocean for quite a while, and Howard not grabbing it until after the war was over? What happened if Howard was able to get it, control the Tesseract? And we see that he makes some kind of large Iron Man costume that Steve then gets to be a part of. I really loved that reveal. The trailers did a good job of not letting you know that, but how Steve worked his way into that I thought was really cool, to keeping that bond between Peggy and Steve. And honestly, having that made the episode that much greater. I think without it now, I would have been a little let down that we didn't get to see Peggy and Steve's relationship play out. And I thought that was key, not only in those first movies, but it was fun in this show as well to kind of keep that. So that, I guess, is me thanking the directors and the writers for keeping that in there. The other what if moment, if Red Skull wasn't preoccupied with the Tesseract, making weapons and such, because the US government had it, what would he have spent his time working on? And we find out that he discovered, because he has that Yggdrasil, the world tree carving, where he found the Tesseract, he discovered by doing more research that there was a way to do interdimensional travel, to do space travel. When he finally gets his hands on the Tesseract again, he opens that portal, similar to the portal we see in Avengers, where Loki lets the Chitauri through. And I thought the Chitauri were going to come through that portal, but it was some other creature. Now, because of that, I am wondering, since this all takes place in the MCU, I know it's alternate realities, but we got to see something in an alternate reality here that may be in our reality, and that being the giant octopus squid-looking creature that comes out of the portal. What that is, what that animal is, there is a character in the Doctor Strange world called Cthulhu. We'll put that name up here. If anybody knows how to pronounce that better than I do, go for it. It just kind of sounds like a sneeze. Cthulhu! So, Cthulhu is this big octopus-looking character. Maybe that's who he is. But if he shows up here, does that mean that that character's lurking out in space somewhere in the universe and we just haven't seen him in the real world yet? And I say real world, not the cartoon universe that we were watching. Which is not to say that that universe is cartoon, but just that's how we're getting it in this What If show. So I thought that was interesting, but it was some more of these what if moments inside this episode. Is what if Red Skull wasn't preoccupied with the Tesseract and he had more time to research what the Tesseract was and what to do with it once he got it, rather than just use it as a big battery like Howard did. So there was those moments. That was really great. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was just a really fun show. The review of what happened from the movies to kind of get you into the story, and then those extra stories, the comic book cartoon design, particularly with the Marvel logo at the beginning, was really awesome. And then it gave you some more graphic novel kind of feels to it, and it gave Marvel an opportunity to do some things that they wouldn't normally be able to do. I'm already excited, and I haven't even seen the rest of the episodes yet, that we're going to get a season 2 of this show to get more what if moments, and they can really play with this show and just do some interesting things. Our videos here, for the sake of this show, are not going to have any prediction videos because they're just one-offs. We're also not going to do separate Easter egg videos because right now, from what I've seen, the Easter eggs are pretty simplistic. There might be a few little things in there, some nods to some other comic books and some other comic variants that you can look at. I would encourage you to go do that on your own. But a lot of the Easter eggs that we got, and we'll include them at the end of every episode like we're about to do now, are just things that are throwbacks to the movies that we've already seen, but with that flip on them of it being a different character. So you got to see Peggy Carter kick in a door and shoot her way through a bunch of Nazis, similar to the way that Captain America did in the Captain America movie. a lot of moments like that. One in particular that was a legit straight up Easter egg that I thought was interesting was as Peggy and her Howling Commandos are about to overtake the train in order to, they're trying to capture some other things and do some other, infiltrations and things like that into taking down Hydra. In the Captain America movie, that's the moment where Bucky falls off the train and dies, but he becomes the Winter Soldier. I thought they were about to do that with Steve, but the train, which did have Arnim Zola on it in the movie, and also had a bunch of Hydra tech that was powered by the Tesseract, was not on that train because Arnim had already been captured with the Tesseract, and they didn't have the Tesseract at Hydra, so they didn't have those weapons yet. So Red Skull actually turned the train into a decoy, and it explodes, burying Steve Rogers and allowing Red Skull to get the Tesseract. I thought that's where they were going to turn Steve into the Winter Soldier, but they didn't, which was fine. I liked the way they did it. But there was another what if moment. What if that happened right there? But in that moment, Peggy, as a little Easter egg, she calls the Operation Where Eagles Dare. And if you do a quick search of that phrase, Where Eagles Dare is a book from 1966 that was made into a movie, I think, in 68 called Where Eagles Dare. It's got Clint Eastwood in it. And the movie and the book follow this group of 7 commandos who are secretly infiltrating, with the help of some MI6 agents, secretly infiltrating a Nazi base in the German Alps, which is only accessible by a train or a cable car. And there's a lot of twists and turns in that story, but the story lines up really well with what they're doing in this episode. And I just thought it was a really interesting little throw to, why would they include that? Maybe it's a director nod, maybe it's something like that, but I thought it was a really interesting nod. Fun fact though, the scenes in the movie Where Eagles Dare, the castle scenes for the Nazi German castle, are filmed at this place, which, if you recognize it, it is Baron Strucker's hideout from Sokovia in the Age of Ultron movie. I don't know if that was why they did the Easter egg, I doubt it, but I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit as I was doing my research. I thought, hey, I recognize that castle. So that was really cool, little MCU moment there for you. A lot of the other Easter eggs were just fun throwback shots where you got to see those different movie moments but played out differently. I thought that was really cool, and it fit the tone of the show. Really excited to see where it goes from here. Really excited. It was just fun. It was interesting to watch. It didn't require a lot of thinking, but there was a lot of things that you saw that you just went, that was so cool. It was just a little fun stuff, and it was kind of a way to relive the other movies, but to get a different story all at the same time. So I'm really interested to see what they do from here. I suspect that this episode will be one of the weaker ones. Not that it was weak at all, it was fun to watch, I enjoyed it, but the weirdness, I think, is yet to come. The what if this happened and what if that happened, the way that they're going to branch this off and just introduce you to these other moments is going to allow them, when you jump into something crazy like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, to be able to see those moments and go, oh, that's how that happened. This one little moment branched off into another moment, and they've shown you enough of them that when it does happen, you're not going to question it in the movies. You'll just go, well, anything can happen. And we had this fun series where Marvel can kind of tell more stories and also put out more content, but also tee us up for some other things in the future by giving us some of these rules to how the multiverse works. Tell us what you guys think about it. It was a really fun show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I hope if you are new to the MCU or not really a fan of cartoon stuff like this, that you'll give it a chance. That's what I'm doing. I'm not a huge cartoon fan when it comes to TV shows. I've gotten so ingrained in the reality, the realisticness of the Marvel Universe, that jumping into a cartoon I was a little wary of, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story. It was very thick. It had a lot of meat to it that just made it really enjoyable. And so I'm interested to see what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And if you already have done those things, then share this video all across the multiverse. Until next time, we'll see you then.